So this time we'll be doing something a little bit special, and this comes courtesy of a fellow YouTuber and friend, Aetherus69, who was kind enough to get me this. And he knew that I would be getting the Lethal Foes, or the Fearsome Foes of Spider-Man set. And I had mentioned to him that I didn't have this guy yet. And as you can probably tell, it's one of Spider-Man's rogues. And so without further ado, from the Spider-Man line, we'll be looking at the Magic Change Mysterio with light-up helmet. You can see here all the features involved in this. They even had a try me button. And unfortunately, this button has been tried too much. The light-up feature doesn't work, and I don't have the batteries to replace it. Other Spider-Man: Flip and Stick Spider-Man, Aqua Blast Spider-Man, and Soak and Toss Spider-Man. Obviously aimed at kids, but with all these waves, there's always one villain that would appeal not only to kids but collectors. So here is Mysterio. He's got a nice sculpt to him in his classic look. Design here all throughout his arms, his chest, torso, lower torso, and legs. Gold boots. You can kind of see the design on his gloves there. His eyes that are the clasps that hold his cape on. I always like that. The cape is nice, very soft and rubbery. No real details painted on there. Speaking of paint, I have noticed chipping in certain areas. The gold paint is a little messy in areas, particularly on his feet there. You can see some of that has chipped away. You see there's a spot of yellow on his side there. So not exactly the best paint job there, but this being more aimed at kids, I don't think they were that stringent as they would be with the Marvel Legends. For accessories, he comes with this stand, base, vehicle, I don't know what you want to call it. It's kind of cool. Of course, he often appears out of smoke clouds, so that's what this is, and you have these pretty cool rubbery tendrils of smoke coming out of this very soft rubbery part of the base here. It's got 3 wheels on the bottom. It rolls pretty nice, and it's got 2 pegs there for his feet. They show him using it this way, and if you notice, there's 2 holes there, and he has these really weird missile things that are chicken heads with octopus tentacles coming out of them. Yeah, I don't understand it too, but I guess it looks cool. They will fire. Guess at the same time. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be using these guys. The base itself is pretty cool, although I do wish they would have had a grayer smoke with some purple mixed in, because that's really what his smoke is supposed to have, this purplish hue to it. At least that's how it's always portrayed in the comics. I like to put him in the reverse way of how they show it, it kind of even becomes a little bit more creepier, because you don't know if he's coming towards you or moving away, possibly. So I will probably try and pose him with this base here. Now, to getting on to his gimmick, of course you probably have noticed his huge button back here. You can kind of see his face here through the fishbowl. Although I think it's a cool gimmick, if it were me personally, if I were making a Mysterio figure, I would probably go for just the opaque helmet. Or would be even creepier is just to have no head in there and make him look like he's headless. So anyway, getting on to the gimmick, you would depress this button once and it would light up as you pressed it for as long as you held it. And there's 3 faces in there. One is like a creepy alien baby face, one a normal face, and if you press it, you can kind of see it there. Press it again, and you get the monster face. Yeah, that's the one that's hardest to see. But you got red eyes and teeth there. And there's the regular face. On to articulation. The cape here really hinders his arms. They do not go all the way around. His arms do have limited posability that way. They do go out, but it's hard to... They're very stiff in there. So that'll stress this part of his arm. But he does have a bicep swivel there. He has a double elbow joint there. He's also, I can't tell if he's supposed to rotate here at the glove. I think he is, but it's so close to the other joint that there's no real leverage to get it to turn. And that's kind of unfortunate. His hand does go bend back and forth a little bit, and his fingers are all jointed on one joint. But they are very stiff too. There we go. And the same with this hand and this arm. I've loosened this. This is a little bit better, and it's a little stiffer. More support there at the elbow. So you can rotate this glove here. He does not have any ab crunch here, as the battery is located in his back. And he does have waist articulation though, which is cool, because a lot of times you lose waist articulation with gimmicks as well. And he's got that old Marvel Legends joint where it's easy to go forward and back as well as out and in, and he rotates at the upper thigh. Got double knee joints. He rotates at the boot, bends at the ankle, as well as he's got an ankle pivot, and he's got toe articulation. So, very, very nicely articulated figure. He makes a wonderful, wonderful addition to the Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Mysterio first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man number 13 in 1964. Mysterio was special effects and stuntman Quentin Beck, and he adapted his expertise in those fields to become a super criminal, using hypnosis, special effects, and holograms to create sophisticated illusions, even convincing Spidey at one time that he had been shrunk down to 6 inches. He was almost exclusive foe of Spider-Man. I believe he fought Daredevil once or twice. But Spider-Man was his main villain, and he always had it out for Spider-Man. So he would always try and go after Spider-Man. And much like the Vulture, he had a cellmate take over as Mysterio briefly. And that was, his name was Daniel Burkhart. Mysterio, in either Daniel Burkhart or Quentin Beck, works with the Sinister Six and the Sinister Syndicate often. Of course, those are all attempts to get back at Spider-Man, get his revenge on Spider-Man for beating him the last time around. And he pretty much stays a constant threat to Spider-Man, is beaten every time. Eventually, Beck develops a brain tumor and lung cancer, exposure to all these chemicals that he uses for his illusions. He sought to go out in a blaze of glory, and at this time he found out that the Spider-Man going around was a clone, which he wasn't really, but he thought he was a clone. So he decided that the clone wasn't worthy of his grand checkout plot. So he switched his focus to Daredevil, and aided by the Kingpin, who knew all about Daredevil and his secret identity, he gave all that information to Mysterio, and Mysterio used a hallucinogenic drug to aid him in convincing Daredevil that this baby was the Antichrist. And Daredevil almost kills this baby in thinking that it would save the world. That is the Kevin Smith run of Daredevil. So anyway, not only does he get Daredevil to believe that the baby is the Antichrist, he gets Karen Page to believe that she is HIV positive, thanks to her work in the porn industry, and he also framed Foggy Nelson for murder. And he does all this basically in the hope that Daredevil will get so pissed at him that he will kill him. When it comes down to it, Daredevil's not going to kill him, because that's not who he is. Instead, Beck is forced to take a gun and turn it on himself. So he dies. Burkhart briefly becomes Mysterio again. But then we get Francis Klum, who is a teleporting mutant who manages to buy the costume and rigs death traps at the school that Peter Parker has teached out. And he's after Peter Parker because this happens right after Peter Parker's identity is revealed as Spider-Man. So Burkhart teams up with Peter to defeat Klum. Beck appears, quote-unquote, back from hell in a red version of the costume instead of green, and basically tells Burkhart that he's there to help Spider-Man and him because they're important for the balance of things. He's just reappeared, and it's not known if this is Beck I mean, he says he's back, but who knows if he's lying or not. But it is definitely not Burkhart. And he reappears in the recent Gauntlet, and he's been building androids of deceased Magia family members, making the family appear stronger, but also at the same time he secretly replaced the leader of the Magia, Silvermane, with an android. So he's basically in control of the Magia Mafia. So that's his latest run-in with Spider-Man. There's a few rogues gallery of Spider-Man villains. This will look real cool all together, set up with the Green Goblin and Sandman and Kraven. Stay tuned. Next, we'll probably be getting into the DC Universe Classics Wave 14, which also comes to me care of Aether69, who was watching out for me and got me most of them. So I'll be starting those reviews, and until then, see ya.